we have watched the tension boiling over between Carly and the WSB, specifically regarding Josslyn and her dangerous new career path. Carly has been pacing the hospital floors, haunted by the ghosts of her past, terrified that she is going to lose another child. The memory of Morgan Corinthos is a heavy shadow that dictates every move Carly makes, and seeing Josslyn caught up in the lethal crossfire of Ross Cullum's cold fusion conspiracy has pushed this protective mother to her absolute breaking point. She's been begging, pleading, and demanding that Josslyn walk away from the intelligence agency before it puts her in an early grave. But a new detail could expose the truth about how this entire standoff is really going to end, and it is far more sinister than a simple family disagreement. We all know that Z, the enigmatic and highly manipulative head of the WSB, has been hovering around Josslyn's hospital bed like a hawk. He sees her potential. He watched her take down Ross Cullum even while injured, and he has made it abundantly clear that he views Josslyn as the future of his organization. Carly, on the other hand, views Z as a predator leading her daughter to the slaughter. The confrontation between these two incredibly stubborn forces has been building toward a massive explosion, and something isn't adding up anymore regarding how quickly this fire is supposedly put out. Let us focus on the physical altercation that is set to shift the entire dynamic of this storyline. Carly is not a woman who takes no for an answer, especially when the life of her child is on the line. When Z stands his ground, flashing that arrogant, flirtatious smile, and flatly refuses to release Josslyn from her WSB commitments, Carly's legendary temper takes over. In a moment of pure blinding rage, Carly delivers a vicious slap right across Z's face. It is a visceral, impulsive reaction born from sheer terror and maternal desperation. Carly believes that Z is actively exploiting Josslyn's youth and bravery, forcing her to remain in a deadly game that she barely survived. However, the slap itself is not the most important part of this scenario. The clue that we need to zero in on is what happens immediately after the physical strike. Right as the tension in the hospital room reaches its absolute zenith, Josslyn suddenly intervenes. But instead of defending her WSB boss or fighting for her right to choose her own destiny, Josslyn does the unthinkable. She completely folds. She stands by Carly, looks Z in the eye, and declares that she is done. She announces that she is resigning from the WSB, walking away from the espionage world, and returning to a normal civilian life. If you ask me, this sudden surrender is the biggest red flag we have seen in months. Josslyn has spent the entire ordeal fighting tooth and nail to prove her worth. She defied Cassius Faison, she went toe-to-toe with Ross Cullum, and she adamantly refused Carly's tearful pleas to quit just hours prior. For her to suddenly do a complete 180 and agree to walk away just because Carly threw a slap is completely out of character. Josslyn is fierce, independent, and notoriously stubborn. She does not just give up her ambitions to appease her mother. And then there is Z's reaction, which is equally, if not more suspicious. Instead of threatening them, citing contractual obligations, or leveraging the agency's power, Z simply changes his tune. He backs down, states that the WSB will no longer pursue Josslyn's employment, and grants her total freedom. Just like that, the big bad director of the world's most powerful intelligence agency capitulates to an angry mother and a newly minted recruit. It may not be a coincidence that this resolution happens so smoothly. In fact, it reeks of a highly coordinated performance. We have to start connecting the dots here, guys. If this sudden exit is the genuine truth, it leaves a massive gaping plot hole regarding the secret deal Josslyn just orchestrated. We know that Josslyn struck a highly classified bargain with Z to pin all of Ross Cullum's heinous crimes, including the murder of Marco Rios, onto the deceased Cassius Faison. In exchange for this massive cover-up, Z agreed to secure the full and immediate release of both Jason Morgan and Valentine Cassadine from federal custody. That is a monumental concession from the WSB. Z is a calculating strategist who does not give away high-value prisoners like Jason and Valentine for free. He agreed to that deal because he wanted to retain Josslyn's loyalty and harness her lethal potential for his own future operations. If Josslyn simply walks away, Z loses his star operative and gets absolutely nothing in return for freeing two of the most dangerous men on the planet. That's where things become interesting. Z would never allow himself to be played like that, which means he is not losing Josslyn at all. Carly walks away from this hospital room confrontation feeling like a triumphant warrior. She believes her fierce maternal instincts and her physical display of dominance have successfully bullied the WSB into submission. She thinks she has saved her daughter from the bloody, violent world of international espionage. She believes the nightmare is over. But this could explain a lot about why Josslyn and Z are acting so strangely. They are letting Carly believe she won because it is the only way to get her to back off. This brings us to the big reveal theory, the massive secret that is going to turn Port Charles upside down. Josslyn is not quitting the WSB. She never had any intention of quitting. The entire confrontation, the sudden resignation, and Z's immediate acceptance were all part of a brilliantly orchestrated, deeply deceptive stage play designed specifically for an audience of one, Carly. Josslyn and Z have secretly conspired to fake her exit from the agency so she can transition into a deep undercover operative. By convincing Carly and the rest of her family that she is out of the spy game, Josslyn achieves the ultimate cover. An operative is most effective when no one suspects they are an operative. This allows Josslyn to operate in the shadows, completely free from her mother's constant surveillance and interference. This deep cover status is likely the true price she had to pay to guarantee the freedom of Jason Morgan and Valentine Cassadine. She traded her honesty and her relationship with her mother for the lives of the men she cares about, binding herself to Z in a way Carly could never comprehend. The danger of this massive lie is going to escalate exponentially because Josslyn is not just going to sit on the sidelines. If she is now a deep cover asset, she is going to be assigned immediate, highly classified tasks. The bigger question is what her first official mission will be under this new invisible identity. It makes perfect sense that Z would task her with managing the very assets she just freed. Her first covert assignment will likely be to secretly rendezvous with Jason and Valentine, extracting them from the WSB blackout sites and ensuring their safe, undetected return to Port Charles. But this is where the aftermath of this incredible deception is going to shatter lives. Ross Cullum may have been taken down on Spoon Island, but a man with that much power, who is running a rogue cold fusion conspiracy, does not operate alone. He has loyalists. He has deeply entrenched, highly trained mercenaries within the WSB who are furious about his death and the subsequent cover-up. These rogue agents are not just going to let Jason, Valentine, and the girl who thwarted their grand plan walk away unscathed. The remnants of Cullum's faction are currently hunting for revenge. As Josslyn embarks on her first solo deep cover extraction mission to bring Jason and Valentine home, she is walking directly into a heavily armed trap. Cullum's loyalists are waiting in the shadows, tracking the movements of the WSB transport, preparing to ambush the very people who destroyed their operation. Josslyn thinks she is a step ahead because of her secret status, but she is actually stepping into a war zone without any official backup, entirely dependent on her own newly minted skills. However, there is one variable that neither Josslyn nor Z accounted for in their master plan: a mother's intuition. Something feels off to Carly. Despite the supposed victory at the hospital, despite Z backing down, Carly's gut is screaming that the situation was resolved far too easily. She knows her daughter, and she knows that Josslyn does not just surrender her convictions. Driven by this relentless, nagging suspicion, Carly decides to do some investigating of her own. She secretly tails Josslyn, following her daughter right into the heart of the extraction mission. This decision is going to lead to the most devastating, heart-wrenching climax imaginable. Carly follows Josslyn straight into the ambush. As Cullum's loyalists spring their trap and the gunfire erupts, Carly is suddenly thrust into the middle of a lethal WSB firefight. In a horrifying twist of fate, as the mysterious attackers open fire on Josslyn, Carly steps into the line of fire. The mother who fought so hard to keep her daughter out of this violent world ends up taking a bullet meant for her. Josslyn is going to be forced to watch her mother collapse to the ground, critically wounded or worse, all because of the lies she told to protect her cover. We may be looking at the beginning of something huge, a storyline that will fundamentally break the dynamic between mother and daughter forever. If Carly falls during this ambush, Josslyn will be consumed by an unbearable, crushing guilt. She will realize that her attempt to play the spy game and deceive her family is exactly what got her mother severely injured. The truth could be closer than anyone realizes, and as Josslyn desperately tries to hunt down Cullum's remaining loyalists while watching her mother bleed out, it becomes terrifyingly clear that someone may not be ready for what's coming next. The cost of this secret is going to be paid in blood, and Port Charles will never be the same.
Goodbye. Please like, subscribe, and comment on the GH Spoilers Daily channel.